We're joined here once again with Mountain Valley CEO Dennis Hancock to get a better understanding of the two new members of their advisory board. These two bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to this team. So let's dive right into it and see who they are and what really brought them to Mountain Valley. So Dennis, welcome back.
Thanks, Brandon. Great to see you.
Absolutely. Well, I'd love to be able to jump into these two individuals because it's so important as you continue to advance your science, as you continue to everything becomes coming to fruition. You need the right team around you to get you past that point of success. So I'd like to start off with Gokul Kannan because this gentleman, 21 years of age, has already got his bachelor's of science from Berkeley. He has 4 pending patents that he's already created, and he's been publicized 8 times. Many people go throughout their whole career without ever having one. Publicized 8 times in publications like The Economist and the New York Times. I really want to know what brought this gentleman to your team, and more importantly, what is he excited to be working on with you guys as well?
Yeah, you could go on and on about Gokul, just his resume at his age. I think he turns 22 in September, so he's it's been really cool. The first thing that comes to mind with how do we attract people? We talk often about change makers, people who are tracking to make a difference, and our business has never really had a problem attracting talented people. What I love about Gokul and where it sort of stacks in our business is, so we've been working with him for about a month, just to give you some context, as we started going, aggressively in oncology. I remember sitting in some of the science meetings, just so blown away by this guy. We've been, first of all, it gave me a massive affirmation of the skill we already have on the team. And you see the interaction, the collaboration, and sort of that change makers challenge change makers. And then Gokul was amazing because his depth, if you will, across, first of all, his network. So he brings immediate horsepower, like, hey, I can do this, I can make this call. But man, we could go for an hour and this guy could not stop talking about, particularly in some of the oncology work and that. And what I see now coming for this investment for the company is our ability to keep things on track and do it right, learn. He's we say fail fast. This guy is so published and brilliant in that space because science is all built on learning and failure. So he brings a great cultural fit and is already challenging thinking. And, when I see him and Mike working back and forth. So anyways, he's amazing. I could go on and on, but you're right. Someone at his age that's this published, I don't think it's an understatement to say we've just added a genius whiz kid, if you will, to our team. And so mature, so professional, blown away by this guy.
Yeah, very, very exciting to hear. And I can imagine him and Mike have had some fantastic talks already. I remember even just every time I see Mike, he always wants to speak about the science. Now he's got someone who's matched to be able to go back and forth. Really excited to see what comes with that.
Well, it's funny because even, you just sort of spawned what I've also seen with Gokul, he's got an incredible oncology, and that's where the fit to your question. But he's got some steep liposome knowledge and personal research. And I was talking with him last night, just saying, "Hey, I'm really excited. We're sending the press release out tomorrow. Great to have you on the team." That kind of call, and we got talking about sleep. Just ironically, we hadn't got into that discussion with him before, and he brought up his personal work with Johns Hopkins, one of the top sleep programs in the world that he's been part of. And so my brain was firing there too, because of a lot of our formulation work. We already have some incredible sublingual sleep products. And in fact, have a meeting today on that exact topic with the cannabis-based sleep product. We're finalizing that framework. So really amazing how diversified this guy's skill set will be across our science lanes, obviously with oncology being the star, but I think it's limitless how he will be able to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic and excited for that. And sticking with oncology and going to the next advisor you brought on, which is Mark Gelna. This gentleman, his resume, I'll just say a few things really quickly, because again, I can keep going on and on with him as well. Yeah. He's been 35 years he spent in financial management. He's been the COO of Deutsche Bank, the COO and CFO of Lehman Brothers. For anybody that's Canadian, those are two massive banks in this world to be a part of. But more specifically as well, is that he's the CEO and CFO of SignVec LLC, a research-based cancer entity. So his background has a lot in oncology and drug delivery as well. But now you're also pulling in that financial element to go along with that. Can you describe him a little bit and what really brought him to the team?
Yeah, he's definitely the 1-2 punch in where we're headed. So maybe I'll come back to the oncology link and where we're headed with that, but starting with, the financial sophistication. So there's no doubt. I mean, we're pursuing ambitious expansion, even uplisting. We're considering NASDAQ, things that you would expect a biotech company to evolve to. With that, our future capital needs, venture capitalists. This guy is an incredibly networked powerhouse. So for both financial and the segue into oncology in his work, one of our funding routes we're pursuing, we have government grant direction that we're pursuing aggressively for phase 1 oncology trials. And then we also have a philanthropic angle with a network and Rolodex that Mark brings. So we have this really interesting sophistication on the science end, understanding it, some very strong networks in the oncology space. And then we also have, the foundation, if you will, the links to legacy donors and stuff. And we're working on some complicated arrangements that Mark will help us orchestrate as well. So really, really cool. I think it's a great foundational piece for us for future, advances in capital raises and the structure of the business. He'll bring a great hand to our CFO on the capital market side, just because he uses that kind of skill set. So yeah, again, another amazing fit for the team.
Yeah, and once again, very excited to hear about that, because I know a lot of people. It's actually funny sometimes. You talk to different investors and they think of Mountain Valley for a certain lane or another. And not many people speak about oncology enough, even though, quite frankly, this could be one of the biggest lanes that you guys go into, just because of the breadth of work that you can go into. So really excited to bring both these gentlemen in that had that oncology background, but also have the background in wanting to work with new sciences and building it. And then, of course, in the case of Mark as well, to be able to speak about all the financial sides. Those things are so important to bring together. But you mentioned something else really quickly there. You mentioned about NASDAQ, and where eventually, a lot of biotech companies, they go to NASDAQ. That's where they live. But we wanted to really quickly talk about the uplisting into the TSX Venture and the update you had on that. Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, I hate that sounds like a non-update, but I think there were enough questions about what was going on. So we thought it appropriate at least to clarify. So we've already are midstream on the TSX Venture application. Just to be clear, that was submitted back as we had committed to do. We've had several meetings. We've gone through the process. I had previously stated we've sort of put I don't want to say a pause because we're in midstream on the process, but we haven't accelerated the next pieces, if you will, as I started to learn more about the NEO. And I had, a personal call with Josh, their CEO, and learning how they founded the whole NEO exchange based on, favoring retail investment over, in high-speed algorithm plays that we've seen happen on our stock, and some things that just, frankly, we want a level playing field. And so one of the challenges on the CSE is, we're a little bit vulnerable to some of those algorithms. It is what it is, but we're definitely pursuing, an uplisting. And now we've got data where we're like, that would be an interesting thing to look seriously at NEO. Probably the only other, thing I alluded to with NASDAQ, there's no doubt our ambition is to grow this business and, be traded in the US on a main board, whether that's the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. Already have had several conversations in the background on those. And, I feel, creating liquidity, long-term shareholder value, all of the tenets of what we're trying to create, that will be an important piece as we go forward. And all of that is on the table. And so from a timeline, what I committed to, we're evaluating making these decisions. And in early August, we have a board meeting coming up at the end of July. That's a big topic. Early August, we'll be able to pronounce very clearly on what our plan is. And I think just if I were to comment on why did we pause or why are we midstream and not following through, as you get more information, you learn. I'm not afraid to say we're going to make the best choices for our shareholders. We're not going to just race along. As we get more information, we're going to pivot. We're going to do the things that are right, all with the mind of long-term shareholder value. And that's my number one focus.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that in-depth discussion that we had on those two individuals, and also the uplisting, what's happening with that. It sounds like early August, and same with the news release as well that you stated in there. We'll hear more about that. But Dennis, I just want to thank you for your time. Yes. I appreciate coming on here when we have a news release coming out, and you're able to now go just that little bit more into why you're doing what you're doing and what next steps are coming. So I appreciate it very much, and look forward to being able to speak to you again in the near future as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. Great to see you again.